Christy Clark was the education minister that started the downward spiral in funding to our public education. Her decisions started off a snowball effect where we find that our public education we're the lowest province with funding in this country.
I need a question from you.
What, if you were elected, would you do to put our children first and their education?
Thank you. Ms. Campbell, we're starting with you.
Well, we definitely need more funding towards our educations. Our children are our future, and the classroom of 30 kids, and the teacher can't answer their questions, they're not learning what they should be learning. So I think we need to add more funding, more teachers, and get the kids learning what they should be learning.
Thank you very much for your question. Is this thing on? I have attended 4 of the consultations for the local school district as of last night. And the one thing that was perfectly clear was that the funding formula is fatally flawed. It was brought about at a time when enrollment was going up, so now that enrollment is declining, it really does not work. And we have to view education as the investment in the future that it is, because if we're not spending our money on education now, we'll be spending it on prisons later. As I tried to say earlier, there was a program that was cut called Reading Recovery, which taught grade 1s how to read. And that was almost single-handedly responsible for the high graduation rate of First Nations a couple of years ago. But because it was cut, you will see the numbers go down, which is quite unfortunate.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wallner.
There is no possible way I can deal with a subject as complex as education funding in a 1-minute soundbite. What I can tell you is that I have 2 children, 8 and 10. They're both autistic. My wife and I have run smack dab into the middle of issues with special education funding. And it's not because anyone's doing anything wrong. Everyone is fantastic. Everyone tries. But we have ultimately had to make the difficult choice of keeping a professional, my wife, at home to care for the children. And it was the only way we could ensure the optimal outcomes for our kids. This is a huge topic, and I really look forward to tackling it because it is in fact the primary reason I'm running. I am running because my kids are impacted by this directly. And so I can't tell you what the outcome will look like. What I can do is promise you that it is top of my mind, and I will give it everything I have.
Mr. Howard.
I agree with Mr. Davis on the importance of education. One of the main indicators of success in life is a good education, starting with an excellent early education. That said, I would point out that one of the first things the Liberals did was make education an essential service so that kids were able to be taught and stay in schools without being interrupted by strikes. So I think that is a critical ingredient, is to recognize education as an essential service. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rucker.
Again, we're absolutely committed to core education, and we'll provide an additional $100 million of funding. Again, all of this completely costed in our budget. We're not adding one red cent in additional debt to the province of British Columbia, because we're talking about new revenue streams, the banks, and also from corporations and from the very rich. The top 2% of British Columbians were asking to pay a little bit more. My Liberal friend talked about debt. I want to let you know about the hidden debt of the BC Liberals of $96.4 billion. This is the equivalent of maxing out all of your credit cards and running around town buying all of this stuff. They've committed the province of British Columbia to such a debt that the cost to service our debt alone in British Columbia is $1.3
And
billion.
thank you very much. All right.